Good morning, it's Thursday and it's time for our devotion together. Today we're looking at Matthew 14:22 to 33. This is the text that we will look at on Sunday morning before we have some baptisms. And this is sort of a baptism story. This is Peter walking on water. This is right after, and as Matthew tells the story of Jesus, is right after the feeding of the 5,000. Well, it's not 5,000, it's more than that. It's 5,000 men, plus women and children, so lots more than 5,000. The passage begins, verse 22, Matthew 14, with right then, and that means right then after the whole feeding of everybody. So right then, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead to the other side of the lake while he dismissed the crowds. When he sent them away, he went up onto a mountain by himself to pray. Evening came and he was alone. Meanwhile, the boat, fighting a strong headwind, was being battered by the waves and was already far away from land. Very early in the morning he came to his disciples walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified and said, "It's a ghost!" They were so frightened they screamed. Just then Jesus spoke to them. "Be encouraged. It's me. Don't be afraid." Peter replied, "Lord, if it's you, order me to come to you on the water." And Jesus, calling Peter's bluff, my addition, and Jesus said, "Come." Then Peter got out of the boat, and was walking on the water toward Jesus. But when Peter saw the strong wind, he became frightened. As he began to sink, he shouted, "Lord, rescue me!" Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him, saying, "You man of weak faith, why did you begin to have doubts?" When they got into the boat, the wind settled down. Then those in the boat worshipped Jesus and said, "You must be God's Son." It's a fun story, right? It's great to picture Peter walking out on the water and all of that, but if you look one level into the story, like, the text doesn't work. And here's why. The text is fine. Here's why it doesn't work. Jesus, "Lord, if it's you, come, order me to come to you on the water." Jesus said, "Come." Then Peter got out of the boat. Is that how it worked? Like, as if, was it that fast? Or was Peter saying, or was it, as I suggested earlier, bluff? Peter said, "Well, if it's you, order me to come onto the water." He won't do that. And then Jesus said, "Sure, come on out." Did Peter just jump out? Was he tentative when he put his foot down? Can you imagine standing up in a boat, putting your foot out, and thinking, trusting that the foot is going to have purchase on hard water, not sink into the soft water, I suppose. Well, anyway, this story is great for the imagination, but it's great for other things too. And so I would invite you to think about all that's embedded in this story and what we can learn from it. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and sing a song. When the storms of life are raging, stand by me. When the storms of life are raging, stand by me. When the world is tossing me like a ship upon a sea, thou who rulest wind and water, stand by me. In the midst of tribulation, stand by me. In the midst of tribulation, stand by me. When the hosts of hell assail, and my strength begins to fail, thou who never lost a battle, stand by me. In the midst of faults and failures, stand by me. In the midst of persecution, stand by me. When I've done the best I can, and my friends misunderstand, thou who knowest all about me, stand by me. When I'm growing old and feeble, stand by me. When I'm growing old and feeble, stand by me. When my life becomes a burden and I'm nearing chilly Jordan. O thou lily of the valley, stand by me.